Oh, there might be a chat too. We can put on the chat so we can see that if people have questions they can ask on
So
the
we are
chat.
on live?
We're live now.
No.
Now, all right. Hodl, hodl, hodl. Save, save,
Save.
save. Build a, build a, build a.
Build.
Sound money, sound money. All right. This is Ugly Old Goat, and we're kind of restructuring everything, but I want to get back to. I wrote an article. I'm going to start the read throughs. We're going to be doing regular shows. Guys, I've been kind of hibernating because I just finished two books. The second one's being published and should be on its way in a couple of weeks. We're going to have a special package put together for that, but we're not promoting that now. I'm just going to do a read through of this article because I do think it's really an important one. And I entitled it, How 25,000 Russians and All Other Unhappy Customers Can Legally Make Coinbase Pay Dearly for Civil Rights Violations, Financial Ethnic Cleansing, Financial Redlining, and Mismanagement, uh, and Mismanagement, and Crypto crony capitalism. Now, those are all pretty strong words, but ad hominem attacks are valid so long as it meets two criteria. They have to, first of all, be true and they have to be relevant. These are both true and these are both relevant. And so, ad hominem attack is a very effective way. And so, I think financial ethnic cleansing is what you're saying with a whole bunch of innocent Russian citizens who really have no part of this war, and they're the ones that are being victimized by this thing. Uh, and so that's what I want to cover. This is, as Bitcoins, we value the individual and not, not our governments. So it's our governments that wage these wars, not us. And they're the ones that need to be held accountable. So, and I wrote this in response to, it was what is it, Brian Armstrong and his attorney. He's got a huge legal team. Believe me, I fought him in court before, and they pay millions every on retainer for their attorneys, and. It was really a disgusting anti-American diatribe against all United States citizens and all that America stands for. Legacy crypto exchange Coinbase announced the blocking of over 25,000 cryptocurrency addresses linked to uh, the Russian people or their entities. And oh yeah, I'm sure there's some warmongers in there too, but there's a lot of innocent Russian people, and you just don't do a blanket thing like this. You'd think we'd learn that lesson from when we interned the Japanese. But at any rate, in a move that can be best described as modern financial redlining due to race and financial ethnic cleansing, Coinbase has made it clear they have embraced the elite's makeover of America to be the land of the enslaved and home of cowards, summarized by Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum at the Great Reset, where you will all own nothing and be happy. And this is I forgot the name of this guy. This guy puts out some great shows, so I put this on the link because it's so appropriate. And one of the best ways to attack what's going on now is to keep our humor. And as Bitcoiners, we want to keep our sense of humor. That's why Giacomo Zucco is so great, because he has such a great sense of humor, and he make it just humor just. I can't stand it when you're having fun, and attacking them at the same time. So I'm going to ask you this, guys, because a lot of you might be caught up on the super patriotism, but if you find yourself rooting for Coinbase and happy they're punishing those nasty Russians, because look, I was just got back from Unconfiscatable a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually in an elevator, and there was a very pretty young woman that was there, and we started talking, and she had a foreign accent, and I said, I just asked, well, I can't place your accent. Where are you from? And she put her head down. Oh, I'm from Russia, and everybody's bullying me. I said, well, look, I kind of held on. I said, I'm not bullying you. I said, look, I know you have nothing to do with this. And guys, we and have the worst track record in the world as America. I mean, we just got out of two horrible wars where we were lied to. I mean, if there was any war criminal, it's probably George Bush because they knew there was no weapons of mass destruction. And we went over there and destroyed a country and killed millions of people. We did the same thing as Afghanistan, and they did the same thing with Muammar Gaddafi. Uh, so like I say, if you think my rhetoric is too harsh or unfair for calling you out, please think again. If you're all for, if you find yourself rooting for this kind of censorship, then you really are part of the problem and not part of the solution. And I'll point this out: if you are really a patriot, neither the tyrant George III or the Bank of England sanctioned George Washington during the Revolutionary War. I didn't know this till my son brought it out to me. But, he was the general of the Continental Army. He was, if they'd have got a hold of him, he'd have been hanged. Yet, guess what? His private funds were never blocked. Okay? The King George would have hung the guy, but he never seized their access, never seized or blocked access to his private property. Yet Coinbase is chomping at the bit to enforce anti-American policies without even an official policy requirement or a court order. And I started doing that. I was really angry when I saw this. And here's the link to this. If you don't think it's true, I found this from the New Reform Club. General Washington and the Bank of England, it just kind of goes to show that, George Washington still had access to his funds in the Bank of England while he was, a traitor to King George. So, guys, just think about it a little bit. What's truly American? I think that George Washington just might have been have a little better idea of things than we do. Of course, now this is modern warfare now. Well, maybe men had a little bit more integrity 200 or 300 years ago than they do now. We seem to think that we're such great people. Well, you know what? I think that our depraved nature is showing through more than it's ever shown. So let's go back to the article. So at any rate, here's the link. I've got lots of good links in here, guys. If you want to read their official statement by their chief legal officer, there it is. And of course, in the digital age, financial punishment without due process is the equivalent of digital financial internment camps. Now, there's no barbed wire, there's no armed guards. But the effect is just as devastating. So, tell me, other than the armed guards, other than physically moving you, how is this any different? Somebody has, 500, what they were depending on with Coinbase are now frozen. They can't get access to it. I'm sorry, guys. This is wrong. And I'm going to show you a way that if you've been, when I started doing the research on this, I didn't know how bad it was. I really didn't. First of all, I went through and started reading the terms of service. There's the link. If you want to get their terms of service, that is the whole terms of service, and it's a real lengthy article, and they revise it all the time, okay? And all they have to do, it says right in there, we update this all the time, and when we show you it's been updated, you've already agreed to it. So, you're going to read all this. Well, actually, I did. So that's what we're going to go through, and now we're going to examine it a little bit. Like I said, just for fun sometime, read the terms of service of Coinbase, or for that matter, any of the public online platforms. Nearly all of them sneak an arbitration clause where you agree not to sue, but you agree to go in arbitration. Now, it's not just to go into arbitration, but you go into arbitration in their jurisdiction and their locality, so it adds to your expense, and it makes it much more convenient for them. And of course, the arbitrators are unbiased and fair and all that. Well, it's in their jurisdiction. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. At any rate, it's kind of like, our court system nowadays. But essentially what you're doing is you agree to give up the fundamental constitutional right of court access in order to do business with Coinbase. And so far, courts have upheld this garbage. You go into court and say, oh, well, you got to go into arbitration. You signed the agreement, So what's next? Will these platforms require that we waive our right to vote to use their platforms? This is essentially what they're doing. They're doing it, before the fact. and it really is sad what they're doing. That's anti-facto. So they're doing it before the fact, which is before the fact, which I think is makes it an unlawful contract. But of course, we, the courts have to determine that that's also the case. Now, every state is different, and this is where, as a if you've been victimized by Coinbase, this is where you can really attack them. It's almost impossible to sue them because it's very expensive to have a team of attorneys, but you can do it yourself in California Small Claims Court. Now, you can get the monetary awards are limited to $10,000, but you can get injunctive relief and declare. Well, I don't know if you get declaratory relief, but I know you get injunctive relief and you can get up to $10,000. And California specifically, and that's where Coinbase is located, they have an exemption for class action lawsuits and small claim actions. They're exempt from arbitration. But you wouldn't, if you read the arbitration clause or the terms of service with Coinbase, you would hardly believe that, because they're saying that you agree not to be a party to a class action, and they're saying that, well, before you can do a small claims, you have to follow our administrative remedies, which of course they create. And Coinbase terms of service is both in violation of California court rules, as Coinbase requires users to waive the right to bring a class action, and actually you also are waiving the right to a jury trial. And this is typical of their modus operandi. Now, here are the two clauses where you waive your constitutional access to the courts and to a jury trial before the fact, anti-facto. There it is, waiver jury trial. You and Coinbase waive any constitutional and statutory rights to sue in court and have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. And they make it bold. I did not put this in bold or in all caps. They do. So they're making it clear you have forfeited your constitutional right because you chose to do business with us. I don't know how you can do that. I really don't know. If they put in there, well, you can't own a gun because you do business with us, or you can no longer speak freely because you do business with us, or you can no longer attend your church or your synagogue or your mosque because you do business with us. This is exactly what they're doing. You and Coinbase are instead electing that all disputes, every dispute you have with them, it's not, it's a command, shall be resolved by arbitration under this arbitration agreement. Well, I'm not under an arbitration agreement, but if you open an account with them, apparently you are, except as specified in the subsection entitled Applicability of Arbitration Agreement above. There is no judge or jury in arbitration. The court review of an arbitration award is subject to very limited review. So they're telling you exactly what they're doing to you before you walk into the slaughterhouse. So you also, here's the next section where you're waiving any class or other non-individualized relief. That basically you and Coinbase agreed that except as specified in subsection 1.8, each of us may bring claims against the other only on an individual basis and not as a class. Well, what is the purpose of class actions? Class actions is because it's kind of a counter to companies that have little policies that are, basically defrauding everybody a little bit at a time, where you really can't pursue them in court. Now, in California, you can use a small claims court for that, but another effective way, particularly nationally, is through a class action. Now, I'm not really that much. I've been in class actions. I actually signed an affidavit against Coinbase to a successful class action. Successful in the fact that it was settled for I think close to $1 million before when it was all over with. So class actions really do work, but they don't really benefit the people that have been. They mainly are a great income earner for attorneys that know what they're doing, but it really does not benefit that much the individual. So, at any rate, but you can't do that. You can't do and you waive all rights to have any dispute heard, administered, resolved, or arbitrated on a class, collective, representative, or mass action. Only individual relief is available, and disputes of more than one customer cannot be arbitrated or consolidated with those of any other customer or user. So they're just saying, you know what, if we have a policy to screw people, tough luck, you have to address this individually, and we don't go to court with you, where are you going to go to arbitration? But there is one clause. So basically, there's one clause, and that is your small claims court in California. They are located in California. This opens up Coinbase to be sued with 25,000 cuts from Russians and anybody else that's been, you know, you're in a dispute with Coinbase, this is how you should deal with it. And they're very fearful of jury trials. And like I said, when I got into this and started doing the research, here's why they are really fearful, because they have a horrible reputation. Their reputation is in shambles with people that know Bitcoin and know crypto. And this is not just my opinion. I've known this for years, but I did a little research. They have an F rating with the Better Business Bureau. And this article was originally going to be limited on how you can take Coinbase to small claims court. But as I did my research over this last weekend, the Coinbase situation has become more troubling. And there it is, guys. You can go to the website. The link is here. They've got an F rating, okay? And they have a red alert. Not only is it an F rating, but they have a red alert where there's a pattern of complaints. They are not responding. And then they also reveal that the Better Business Bureau has closed 2,333 complaints in the past year compared to over 3,000 over the last 3 years. So the complaints are rapidly escalating. I don't know what's going on over there, but they've got some major issues. And the number of pending complaints, I went through and started reading them. It's fascinating. And there, I sent you the link. There's almost 400 of them there. And there's a couple of them I reviewed in the article. I'm actually going to go to their website and just show you. These are, first of all, these are reviews. Of course, the customer reviews are awful, but even what's worse are these pending complaints. And like I say, what's really disturbing is almost all of them are completely ignored. And so I printed a couple of them, but I'm actually going to go to their website and I'll show you this thing. It's incredible. So if you go to the website, guys, you can go here and hit the read the complaints. This is amazing. It's like reading a comic book. There they are. And they're just one after another and I thought this thing would end, but it doesn't. Look they're all unanswered. These are recent. I mean, these are from, I don't know how long it takes to post them, but these are from February, okay? And you can just load more and you can just keep loading them. Looks like I got Spanish and English in here both. Carga Masses load more. There they are, guys. It just, I mean, oh, I don't want, I need to have this in English. Translate to English, okay. Okay, I mean, here it is. January 3rd, my Coinbase account was hacked. For $2,200 was taken. Coinbase did not help me at all in finding the hacker, and there are no humans to contact at Coinbase either. I've emailed them a number of times, and after 3 days or so, they tell me the case is closed. What can I do? Thanks. I bought Bitcoin from Coinbase for approximately $3,900. After a few days, I sold it outright. I was able to withdraw $1,800. The rest, $2,100, was held by Coinbase. I never received any documentation indicating a reason other than the on the application. It says refund to Coinbase. I don't owe them money. So there's one thing after another, guys, and anyway, this keeps going back to Spanish. We're going to have to fix this because our audience isn't. Okay, you can go through these guys and just read one after another, but it's a comic book. And I went back and I went all the way back to October, and I just stopped. And some of them are very serious. It's just incredible that they're allowing this to go on. Uh, okay, so let's go back to the article. All right. So my recommendation to anybody that has funds on Coinbase, and I've said this for years, get them off immediately. Okay. But you know what? You can look at the mounting evidence, go to the Better Business Bureau, take their word for it, look at the complaints that are filed against them, and I hope I'm wrong, but it smells like Mount Gox all over again. Okay, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Get your funds. Do not open an account with Coinbase. If you have funds there, get it off if you can. And you need to stay informed. Whatever you do, get your own private wallet, get a Jade or a Trezor, and keep your Bitcoin off of these exchanges. Uh, Now, here's an article that I wrote. This is way back in 2019 when I actually outlined the same issue and how to file a uh, 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 a case in small claims court. And oh, this is an article I did it was on Coinbase too. Anyway, and it went into the class action. Let's go back and scroll down some more. Okay. Now, here's the article. Yeah, okay. I already outlined that. Class actions benefit attorneys more than the class they represent. A far more effective strategy is a death by 1,000 cuts through the use of California Small Claims Court. And that's what I'm here for, guys. If you're one of those hundreds or thousands that have filed complaints and you're getting nothing, it may not be enough to cover it, but you can recover $10,000, and you can also get injunctive relief. And the best part about it is they have to appear in your county. If you're a California resident, they have to come and appear where you file it, not where they are. If you're out of California, if you're in another state, or even if you're overseas or something, you can file in San Francisco County, and they have to make an appearance. If they don't appear, then you win a judgment by default. So they're required to appear, just like any other court. So I do recommend that strategy. I sent links there to where you can get the forms if you want to file in the San Francisco County. There's the service where you serve. That is just their service. You send your summons to that address via registered mail. I think it costs about $100 or $200, $150 to file a small claims court. You can recover that, if you win. Um, and But I also want to warn you about this. In the terms of service, they have a formal complaint. They're not saying you can't file small claims, but they're just making it hard for you and intimidating you. They're saying if you have a complaint with Coinbase, you agree to contact Coinbase through their support team to attempt to resolve any such dispute amicably, which apparently a lot of you are doing, and of course they just ignore you. And then it says in bold again, if we cannot resolve the dispute through Coinbase support, you agree to use the formal complaint process set forth below before filing any arbitration claim or small claims action as described further in Appendix 5. Now, they're going to use that as an argument, but I would not hesitate. Follow their form. After 45 days, they probably aren't going to respond. And if they don't, they can't make that argument. Say, well, I did, and they didn't answer. Or if they did answer, then hopefully you'll resolve the issue. But I would go. You can go ahead and file the complaint, serve them, and go ahead and go through this administrative process. And by the time you have your court date, you'll be through that 45 days. And there's a link here. Okay, here's the procedural steps. In the event the dispute is not resolved through your contact with support, and again, you've already tried support, you agree to use their complaint form. And here is where you find it for Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. I hit the links. You got to go through and fill this out. But that's just, you're just going through the motions. And so that way, when you get to court, they can't use that argument to try and get everything dismissed. And okay, again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice, and I'm just showing you that the small claims court is open to anybody, but it does. You have to educate yourself, and I'm here to provide you those tools and hopefully get you through the process. There's a bunch of links. The California courts actually give you a lot of information. I do recommend that you purchase uh, this book. I remember is particularly good. How to Win in Small Claims Court. Now, I think it's out of print, but it's really a good book. And here's another one. I don't. It's probably it looks like there's another one. I don't remember looking at that one, but I do remember this one is really quite good. So, guys, that's all this is about. This is not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I'm just an old jailhouse lawyer trying to guide fellow prisoners through the process. And so, like I say, if I want to address this, I mean, uh, people that have been in Bitcoin a long time, we've always had a very low opinion of Coinbase. When they started out, they were gosh, I started out on Coinbase, guys, and they just threw their goodwill away. And this is what they've done again. And I just think it's horrible what they're doing. They're the only exchange that has done this that I'm aware of. There's no court order. The governments have not required it. They're just doing it on their own initiative, I guess, because they think it's being a patriotic American. So you know what? To save the country, we're going to seize your funds. But I'm very suspicious that there might be more to it than that. I don't know what's going on. Get your funds off of Coinbase. If you've been damaged by them, I do highly recommend that you go through the small claims court. If if 25,000 frozen accounts all of a sudden filed small claims actions, they'll get the message real fast because they have to appear 25,000 different times. And win or lose, it's going to be very expensive. But from the sounds of it, from all these complaints, a lot of these, I mean, if the complaints are true, you have a legitimate case, and you need to start. I was, go through the process. It's a little bit scary, but it's also can be a lot of fun. Just view it as uh, kind of a payback to what Coinbase has done to you. It will have to be a grassroots thing, but I tell you what, if just 5 or 10,000 small claims lawsuits are filed against Coinbase, they're going to clean up their act in a hurry. And that's what they say they want to do. Well, you know what? If that's the case, then let it be done. Don't give us this bullshit and stop freezing people's accounts. So I'm done, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I did did this show to be informative to help victims that might be out there from the latest Coinbase fiasco. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.